One of the case studies that we're really excited to include in the directory is one about Mandarin Oriental Hotel in DC, which has 2 mid-size ORCA units. And I believe Shannon Melizon with ORCA, who was indispensable in arranging the site visit and providing lots of information, is with us today on the webinar. So thank you, Shannon. Their 2 units, the G50 and G25, were installed about 2 years ago, and they've been overall really thrilled with how the systems have interacted in their processes. It was very important to them to have a turnkey service with installation and maintenance included, and ORCA provides one of the most comprehensive on the market, including an every other month checkup and microorganism replenishment, since their system uses microorganisms to help process the food waste as inserted into the machine. It was interesting to hear from the Mandarin Oriental Hotel staff in their decision-making process when they were investigating different pretreatment systems. And many of the staff members that had worked at Mandarin Oriental had worked at establishments prior that source-separated organics to have hauled off-site and composted. And while that certainly can be done in a really sanitary, easy way, they found that it wasn't always up to the par or level that they hoped. So having a system that managed food waste in a really efficient manner that was quick and pretty painless was a primary interest. There are many other hotels in the DC area that use ORCA units, including the Four Seasons and Hilton hotels. And the staff here at the Mandarin Oriental feel that they've integrated the units very seamlessly into their processes, with 1 unit in their kitchen and 1 near their catering venue within the hotel. They realized that after a couple hiccups that having to tighten up on their deplating and site checking was really critical. So you can see here on the right-hand side an open unit where someone would scrape food waste off of a plate after rolling it out from a banquet hall or event that they were catering. And with an errant knife or fork entering the machine that you would need to stop and remove it for, they work to integrate extra checks into the process. Here on the left-hand side, you can see some of the signage provided to put adjacent to the machine, which we thought was really stellar. So both Spanish and English labels for what food should and shouldn't go into the system. One of the things that they've been really excited about is how quickly it's processed. And one of the benefits James mentioned in comparing different units was the reduction of odor, and they said that it really overall was very efficient with very little odor, with the exception of if you have a lot of coffee that you put in it or a lot of one type of material, it may have a little bit of an odor of whatever the predominant item was for a very brief period of time, which contrasts often to how source-separated organics smell, of course, when holstered for a good bit of time. The ORCA rotates 3 times per minute with the augers that you can see here on the right-hand side, as well as the biochips, which are about 1 centimeter plastic cylinders. The ORCA also sprays microorganisms periodically during this process, and the effluent that's coming out of the machine looks like a chicken broth. And that was one of the things that was really helpful for us in our research to understand, kind of have a better idea of what that looks like. A grease trap is, of course, installed much like other biodigesters and liquefiers, and one of the things that they work closely with clients to achieve is understand what size grease trap is needed and how frequently they need to be replaced, which is really critical and something that cities and municipalities care a lot about. One of the primary concerns that we heard with New York City, for instance, in talking to their Department of Environmental Protection and Department of Sanitation was that a lot of times end users and clients don't have a real firm idea about how quickly those need to be replaced or changed so that material can flow through without an issue and so that the BOD and TSS levels are kind of within the correct range. So that was something that we were really excited to see kind of paid very granular and nuanced attention to. In addition, something that I'm sure the ORCA team can tell you much more about, but we thought was really interesting, is the really sophisticated measurement and reporting components of ORCA technologies. So if measurement and reporting and keeping on track towards the goal of landfill diversion is important to a specific end institution, a system like this that will measure the amount of food waste, the weight that goes into the machine, and will feed it automatically into a dashboard is something that's really interesting to see, and one can imagine being a really universal benefit to a lot of large institutions. The material here, because the Mandarin Oriental is located in Washington, D.C., goes to the Blue Plains Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant. And it's helpful to know that they land apply the material, so the food waste does indeed get put to a beneficial reuse. It doesn't get incinerated or landfilled, which of course wouldn't be ideal, since the whole aim of these systems is to make the food waste management process more efficient and circular. It's a really interesting example, I think, of a biodigester being used really well.